Sailor Shoe presents.
Today we're taking a look at a very different kind of football game, Roy of the Rovers. Roy of the Rovers was released for the C64, the Spectrum and the Amstrad CPC in 1988. In this video I will be using the C64 version since that's the version I played as a kid. The game was published by Gremlin and developed by System Applied Technology. If you, like me, are a fan of both comics and football, then you will no doubt have heard about our main character, Roy Race, striker for the Melchester Rovers. Roy of the Rovers was initially a weekly comic strip that ran for 40 years from 1954 to 1993, before switching to a monthly schedule until its eventual cancellation in 2001. In Sweden it was published in a magazine called Busto. I used to be a subscriber, but all I have left are these compilations. The comic strip followed Roy's team Melchester Rovers and had storylines that touched both on and off-field topics. Roy Race had the second worst hair in cartoon character history, only bettered or worsened by Prince Adam. In the game, according to the manual, Roy is putting together a 5-a-side team for an exhibition match against the All-Stars, needing to gather enough funds together to save the Rovers Stadium from being demolished. Roy is teaming up with his best bud Blackie Gray, goalkeeper Andy Styles, defender and hardman Duncan McKay, and young prodigy Rob Richards, sometimes dubbed the New Roy. It's a team of one defender, one center forward and two right wings. It's an interesting game plan. Apart from the strange selection of positions, the characters make sense. Blackie Gray was Roy's friend since they were both schoolboys together, and Styles and McKay once saved Roy's life after a terrorist attacked the Rovers player bus while on tour in the Middle East. It's your turn to save them now. Now, the problem Roy faces in the game is everyone has been kidnapped by mobsters except Roy.
Come on.
We have to help Roy walk or run around Melchester and gather up his lost teammates before 7 PM or the game is forfeit. The stadium will be demolished and Melchester's ground turned into condos. Navigating Melchester is daunting and confusing at first. Luckily, the manual has a complete map of the town, and once you get the hang of how to get around, it's pretty straightforward. Turning left or right, or up and down as it is in the game, can be tricky because you have to find the exact spot on the street where the game wants you to turn. You can pick stuff up with a working but somewhat cumbersome inventory system. This is also somewhat hard to get to grips with. Why can I only pick up an address book that I don't need, but not those other things on the floor in Roy's apartment? Oh, you can scroll the menus. Once you figure out how to scroll the menus, then you can hold a total of 3 items at a time. The menus are a pretty advanced feature for a C64 game, and once you get used to them, they work okay. One annoying thing about the menus is you can't switch between them with the joystick, you have to open each menu separately with the function key. Eventually you'll wander into the King's Head pub and meet the man with some information. He actually has a few different random lines he can drop, but he always tells you to get to another pub in 25 minutes where he'll meet you again. You can fast travel home once per playthrough and to your mom's house once. At home, pick up your wallet and run to the pub, or you might not make it in 25 minutes. You meet up with the guy again, and you have to quickly chat to him to get him to ask for a bribe, then use your wallet on him. If you're too slow, he just vanishes from existence and you're screwed. If you manage to bribe him in time, he will not vanish, but rather turn into a pass card on the ground. Remember to only pick up the wallet after you go to the first pub, or you'll get mugged on the way to the second pub, which prevents you from saving one of your teammates. I'm not going to do you the disservice of spoiling the entire game for you, but this is pretty much how it continues. You go to different locations on the map, and entering them is like entering a maze. The inside of buildings are even more confusing than the city, and they don't come with a map. On your first few playthroughs, finding your way around these locations will likely cause you to run out of time and fail your mission. There's a lot of trial and error in this game. Luckily, a full playthrough is only about 30 minutes or so you can try multiple times. There are a lot of items to find, some are useful and some are not, but most of the time the puzzles are fairly logical. The crowbar opens crates, keys open doors. Your mom's sunglasses makes you cool enough to pass some guards, and some guards you have to fight. Fights are cartoonish, like the fights in Andy Cack or NES Ice Hockey. You always win fights that you need to win to progress. Sometimes a smile is all it takes to get you past an obstacle. Some in-game puzzles are randomized, like what crate to open and what fuse to pull. All your teammates look the same in the game when you find them, and once you gather all 4 teammates, the game automatically takes you to your ultimate prize, the Footy game section. There are a few different scenarios that can play out here. If you don't save anyone, the stadium will be demolished. And if you save some players, you get to play the game, but with less players. This is by far the weakest part of the game, and possibly the worst football game ever created. It's probably indoors, since the ball, for lack of walls, bounces back off the lines, and there are no throw-ins. The animation is atrocious, the controls are unusable. The only thing that isn't complete garbage are the goalkeeper controls. It's actually intuitive to dive for a save. Getting the ball out of his hands is another matter. Whatever I do, the keeper takes a knee and rolls the ball out to an opponent. Once the match is done, the game is done. As far as I know, there's no difference between winning or losing the game. On a side note, the goals seems to have gone missing too. Was I supposed to find them too? This game gets a really bad rep. Zap64 gave the game 18% when they reviewed it back in the day, and no one gave it over 50%. Still, it's not entirely bad. For an 8-bit computer, the adventure part is decent, although it's a bit on the short side. The football, however, is so magnificently horrendous, it's not even funny.